Sociology, Block 3, Unit 7 and 8, Basic Concepts. Unit 7 is about culture and society. Unit 8 is about social groups and community. Unit 7, Culture and Society. Culture and society are interdependent. Society, as defined by Ralph Linton, is an organized group of individuals, while culture refers to the learned behaviors and responses characteristic of that group. Say, for example, few people join and they apply to the government authorities for land, and that government authorities give them land, and now all those people they have formed a society and they have decided to construct flats in that plot. So this is a housing society. Now in olden days there were so many people who were having fellows, and their earnings were they used to sell milk, but many times their milk nobody was there to buy their milk, so they formed a society and they decided that everybody will sell the milk to the society, and society will further sell it to say Amul, Mother Dairy or any other company who are making products from milk or selling milk. So that is again a society. Now society is a broad concept and culture is a crucial part of it. Through culture, people in society experience life, shaping their attitudes, beliefs, values, and norms. Giddens and Safon highlight that sociology studies culture in relation to society's social structure. Different scholars have defined culture in various ways. E.B. Taylor described it as the complex whole of knowledge, beliefs, art, morals, customs, and abilities acquired by humans as part of society. Culture is a key factor distinguishing humans from animals as it shapes social behavior, thoughts, and actions, unlike animals that rely on instinct. Culture is often contrasted with biology. Humans and animals share biological traits like hunger and sex, but culture determines how humans express these traits. While animals rely on instinct, humans transmit social behavior through communication. Culture involves language and symbols, setting humans apart from animals. Marsley explains that humans pass down culture through language and symbolic communication, which animals cannot do so. Culture traits are the smallest elements of a culture, such as rituals, in Hindus, and Muslims. Then festivals in our country, you will find in Maharashtra that Ganpati, in West Bengal, Durga Puja, in they are similarly in Bihar, Gujarat, Delhi, Janmashtami, Diwali, Dashera, or specific behaviors. When these traits interact, they form a culture complex. Majumdar and Madan describe a culture complex as the result of interactions between cultural institutions. Culture is social. Culture is shaped by social interactions and helps fulfill human needs like shelter and food. Clark Home calls it a design for living. Culture is learned and shared. Culture is acquired through learning from birth, and it is shared among members of a group. say particular, you see, caste, they have got, you see, their culture, then another caste, their culture is different. Culture is transmitted, culture is passed down from one generation to another through traditions, customs, and social interactions. Culture is symbolic. Symbols like the national flag or religious symbols have meanings that are culturally assigned. Culture is dynamic. Culture changes over time and adapts to external influences and internal developments. Now, types of culture, material and non-material. Sociologist William F. Ogburn distinguishes between material culture, physical objects like houses or food, and non-material culture, you see, like customs, beliefs, and communication patterns. Both material and non-material culture are crucial for understanding a society, guidance, and support. Note that sociologists are now also interested in material artifacts such as tools and buildings as part of culture. Elements of culture are, you see, language. Language is the primary element of culture, essential for communication and, you see, cultural transmission. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis suggests that language shapes how we perceive reality. Now, in our country, you can see so many, you see, languages are there. Beliefs are accepted truths within a culture. For example, belief in auspicious dates for marriage is common in India. Beliefs evolve over time, especially through exposure to other cultures. Norms are the rules that guide behavior in society. They can be, you see, formal laws or informal social customs. Norms are further divided into folkways, everyday norms, and most important norms for social welfare. Values are general guidelines about what is desirable or undesirable in society. They vary across cultures and they shape societal goals and behaviors. Sanctions are rewards or punishments for following or breaking social norms. Positive sanctions include rewards, while negative sanctions involve penalties. Sanctions reflect a culture's, you see, values and priorities. Culture and civilization. Culture and civilization are often contrasted according to Ogburn and Nimkolf. Civilization is more developed form of, you see, culture involving social and political organization. Culture is internal, representing values and beliefs, while civilization is external, referring to material achievements like technology and infrastructure. Majumdar and Madan describe culture as the moral, spiritual, and intellectual aspects of human life, while civilization is the tools and material elements that support culture. Life Kai explains that civilization is universal, while culture is personal and unique to each society. Culture is constantly evolving. Changes in society are reflected in, you see, shifts in eating habits, you see, family structures, education, and more. Four key processes drive culture changes: innovation, diffusion, acculturation, and assimilation. Innovation introduces new ideas or objects, whether physical, that is architecture, or conceptual, that is new rituals. Innovation is crucial for cultural change as it initiates diffusion, acculturation, and assimilation. Cultural diffusion occurs when cultural elements spread from one group to another. It involves the exchange of both material, that is technology, and non-material, that is values culture. William F. Ogburn's concept of cultural lag describes how non-material culture often struggles to keep up with rapid technological changes, leading to social imbalance. Acculturation occurs when one culture changes due to prolonged contact with another. While one culture may adopt aspects of another, it still retains some of its original characteristics. Assimilation refers to the process in which a minority culture is absorbed into a dominant culture. Over time, the minority culture may lose its distinct identity, as seen when tribal cultures are displaced by modern development projects. Cultural diversity. Societies are, made up of diverse cultures, which include subcultures and countercultures, and sometimes lead to culture shock. Subcultures exist within a larger dominant culture, representing unique values, norms, and behaviors. Examples include the Toras of Nilgiris and youth subcultures, which differ from mainstream adult society. Countercultures. Countercultures challenge the dominant culture. They often arise among marginalized or rebellious groups such as gangs or radical political movements. The youth may also form countercultures that oppose older generations' norms. Countercultures. Countercultures challenges the dominant culture. They often arise among marginalized or rebellious groups such as gangs or radical political movements. The youth may also form countercultures that oppose older generations' norms. Culture shock. Culture shock occurs when individuals encounter unfamiliar cultural practices and struggle to adopt. The disorientation is common when people experience subcultures or travel to foreign countries. Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism, coined by William Graham Sumner, is the belief that one's own culture is superior to others. That is human nature. This mindset leads people to judge other cultures as wrong rather than simply different. Ethnocentrism can also lead to xenophobia, the fear of foreign cultures. Cultural relativism. Cultural relativism is the practice of evaluating cultures based on their own standards rather than through the lens of one's own culture. It, it promotes underlying of different customs without judging them as right or wrong. Cultural relativism can sometimes lead to xenocentrism, the belief that other cultures are superior to one's own. Multiculturalism. Multiculturalism recognizes the coexistence of diverse ethnic groups within a society. Unlike the melting pot model where minority cultures are absorbed, multiculturalism is more like a salad bowl. Where each culture retains the identify. Now, this salad bowl, you will have, in that many items. Uh, Kimlicka defines multiculturalism as the legal and political recognition of ethnic diversity, promoting mutual respect and understanding. Globalization and culture. Globalization involves the integration of global markets, technology, and culture. According to Sunanda Sen, Globalization breaks down barriers across nations, leading to the flow of trade, knowledge, and culture. Arjun Appadurai describes globalization as a process involving five key culture flows: ethnoscapes, movement of people; technoscapes, spread of technology; financescapes, flow of capital; mediascapes, distribution of media; and ideoscapes, you see, spread of ideologies. So, what are, you see, uh, five cultural flows? First is ethnoscapes, that is movement of people. Ethnoscape is movement of people. Second one is technoscapes, that is spread of technology. You see. Third one is, you see, financescapes, it is flow of capital. Finance, from finance, it is flow of, you see, capital. Then next one is mediascapes, it is from media, mediascapes, distribution of media. And ideoscapes, it is from idea, this is spread of ideologies. Cultural diversity in India, you see, culture in the Indian context. India is a culturally diverse country with numerous, you see, languages, religions, you see, castes, and tribes. S.C. Dubey in 1990 highlights that this diversity stems from centuries of migrations and cultural interactions. India's society consists of a whole range of, you see, traditions, both little oral traditions and great written traditions, which coexist and interact. Cultural unity and integration describe its, you see, diversity. India maintains cultural unity. The country's constitution guarantees, like, you see, protection of different communities' identities. Indian culture, through shared religion, art, and customs, fosters a sense of national integration despite challenges like ethnic conflicts and globalization. So in this chapter, we have seen, you see, we have seen culture and society, culture and, you see, biology, culture trait and culture complex, then characteristics of culture, then types of culture, material and non-material, you see, culture. Then we saw, you see, elements of culture, language, a group of words or ideas having common meaning and is shared to a social situation is called language. Language is the entrance to a culture. Language is a set of socially sound pattern words and sentences having specific meaning and terminology common to the same culture. Then symbols. Humans consciously and subconsciously are always striving to make sense of their, you see, surrounding world. Symbols such as gestures, signs, objects, signals, and words help people understand that word. They provide clues to understanding experience by conveying recognizable meanings that are shared by societies. Then norms, it defines how to behave in accordance with what a society has defined as good, right, and important. And most members of the society adhere to them. Formal norms are established written rules. They are behaviors worked out and agreed upon in order to suit and serve most people. Laws are formal norms, but so are, you see, employees' manuals, college entrance exam requirements, and no running signs at swimming pools. Formal norms are the most specific and clearly stated of the various types of norms, and they are the most strictly enforced. But even formal norms are, you see, enforced to varying degrees and are reflected in cultural values. There are plenty of formal norms, but the list of informal norms, casual behaviors that are generally and widely conformed to are longer. People learn informal norms by observations, imitation, and general socialization. The next is, you see, values. Values are a culture standard for discerning what is good and just in society. Values are deeply embedded and critical for transmitting and teaching a culture's beliefs. Beliefs are the tenets or convictions that people hold to be true. Individuals in a society have specific beliefs, but they also share collective values. To illustrate the difference, Americans commonly believe in the American dream, that anyone who works hard enough will be, you see, successful and wealthy. Underlying this belief is the American value that wealth is good and important. A culture consists of many elements such as values and beliefs of its society. Culture is also governed by norms, including laws, mores, and folkways. The symbol and language of a society are key to developing and, you see, conveying culture. The next is, you see, sanctions. Sanctions are penalties and rewards for social conduct of a person, which can be positive and negative. Violation of norms invites, you see, negative sanctions like fines, imprisonment, etc. And conformity to any norms prescribes positive. Then we studied culture and, you see, civilization. Civilization in theory is, you see, bigger than culture, in which an entire, you see, civilization can encompass one single unit of culture. Civilization is a bigger unit than culture because it is a complex aggregate of the society that dwells within a, you see, certain area, along with its forms of government, norms, and even culture. When the human society develops certain social and political organization, it is called a civilization. Culture is internal, but civilization is external, and it is the external manifestation or the material aspect of culture, such as scientific and technological achievements. Cultural change. Changes in the culture of society are called cultural change. Cultural change that occurs over time to the standard way of life of a group. This emerges with the experience of a society, traditional culture, organization, superculture, or subculture. Cultural changes occur due to innovation, diffusion, appropriation, and assimilation. Now, we studied then cultural innovation, then cultural diffusion, then acculturation, assimilation, cultural diversity, subcultures, countercultures, culture shock, ethnocentrism, cultural relativism, then multiculturalism, globalization and culturalism. Then we studied, you see, ethnoscapes, you see, the landscapes of persons such as tourists, immigrants, refugees, and the movement of persons who affect the politics of a particular place. Then technoscapes, the global spread of technology, both material and informal, across boundaries. Then financescapes, the rapid flow of money through currency market and stock exchange. Then mediascapes, the distribution of, you see, electronic capabilities like television, films, to produce and disseminate, you see, information. Then ideoscape, the exchange of ideologies and counter ideologies, which consist of notions of freedom, justice, rights, democracy, sovereignty, etc. Then we studied culture in Indian, you see, context. The culture diversity in India. India is one of the most religiously and ethnically diverse nations in the world with some of the most deeply religious societies and cultures. Indian culture, therefore, is the Indians' way of life because of the population diversity. There is immense variety in Indian culture. The Indian culture is a blend of various cultures belonging to diverse religions, caste, religion follows their own tradition and culture. Indian culture is one of the oldest cultures in the world. India had an urban civilization even during the Bronze Age. The Indus Valley civilization, Harappa civilizations dates back to 3300 before Christ to 1300 before Christ. Distinct cultures that are different from each other coexist together in a single country. Thus, in India, there is unity amidst vast cultural diversity. The way people live in India is reflected in its culture. The Indian society consists of large number of languages, beliefs, rituals, customs, traditions, etc. It has 22 national languages and 100 dialects. It is one of the most religiously and ethnically diverse nations of the world. Then we have studied secularization. The word secularization means equality, impartiality, etc. towards all a religion. Then we have studied cultural unity and integration. Unity is diversity. India is a land of unity in diversity where people of different sections, caste and religion live together. India is also Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. India is also called the land of unity in diversity as different groups of people cooperate with each other to live in a single society. India is a secular state and has a constitution which ensures that the identities of different communities are preserved. Moreover, the different facts of culture like religion, music, art, and architecture, painting, dance, and drama, habits, and customs have contributed to the unity and integration of India. Unity in diversity has also become strength of India. So this was all about Unit 7. Now we come on the Unit 8, social groups and community. Definitions of community. Bogardus defines a community as a social group with a strong sense of belonging or we feeling, emphasizing that members of a community often share a close emotional connection. Kingsley Davis describes community as the smallest territorial group that includes all aspects of social life. According to him, a community functions as comprehensive social unit where all essential elements of life like economy, family, and culture converge. In every society, you will find a community hall where all community people come and conduct meetings, celebrate festivals. Marriages are also performed there. Now, Ginsberg sees community as a group of people who live together in a certain area and maintain social relationships resulting from common living arrangements. Characteristics of community. A community does not have to be self-sufficient, but it must be based on economic, political, and social interdependence. Modern communities, for example, may be less dependent on kinship and familial ties than on larger economic or political systems. Some of the key characteristics of a community are definite territory. A community is generally tied to a specific geographic area, though in the modern world, the notion of virtual communities is also gaining recognition. Then population. A community must have a certain population living within its defined boundaries. The population size may vary greatly from one community to another. Close social relationships, members of a community often form close knit relationships where personal interactions and social ties play an important role in daily life. Cultural similarity, communities tend to have shared values, traditions, customs, and norms, which create a sense of unity and collective identity. We feeling this refers to the sense of belonging or solidarity felt among community members. Organized interaction, communities are you see characterized by organized patterns of interaction, whether formal or informal. These interactions form the basis of community life. In modern communities, kinship ties are often replaced by professional, economic, and political relationships, leading to a greater reliance on shared institutions rather than familiar connections. Communities can be broadly classified into great and little communities based on their size and the nature of relationships within them. Great communities, larger, more complex communities such as cities or nations. These communities, you see, offer a wide range of opportunities, economic activity, protection, and development. However, they may lack the intimate personal relationships often found in smaller communities. Little communities, these are smaller, more intimate groups where members may know each other personally. Little communities like villages or small towns often provide a sense of closeness, you see, personal connection and mutual, you see, support. In our country, the moment if you go to a village and you see at the you see entrance, you see if you ask from somebody about somebody, you see he will you see, tell you that such and such person. You see you go this way, and then you will find his you see house. Everybody knows. You see everybody. Community sentiment is a sense of identification with and loyalty to a group. It is essential for the development of community relationships. The three main elements of community are we feeling. This refers to the strong emotional bond that individuals feel toward their community, creating a sense of unity and togetherness. Role feeling. Every individual in a community feels they have a specific role or function which contributes to the overall functioning of the community. Dependency feeling. Members of a community rely on each other for physical and psychological support, fulfilling their basic you see, needs through interaction with others. Communities are you see founded on two key bases. One is locality, another is community sentiment. Now, locality, geographic proximity is an you see important aspect of a community. Even nomadic groups, while constantly moving, still have a base of you see operation and shared physical space. Geographic location often you see fosters solidarity and a sense of belonging. Community sentiment beyond geography, the emotional bonds between members are just as important. The sense of you see shared identity, values, and social norms help bind a community together. A, a, a social group is a collection of individuals who interact with one another, share similar characteristics, and collectively have a sense of unity. Different sociologists define social groups with slight variations. Now, Albion Small, he has defined social group. He defines a social group as people who are related to one another by a set of social relationships. These relationships can be based on kinship, interest, or occupation. You see, this is a social group. Then Bogardas, he defines a social group as a collection of people who share common interests and a sense of loyalty or solidarity. Then Green Arnold, you see, he defines, according to him, a group is an organized structure made up of individuals who have common interest and work together toward a common, you see, goal. Now, primary and secondary groups. Social groups can be, you see, classified into two main types based on the nature of the relationships among members. First one is primary groups. These are small, intimate groups where members have close face-to-face relationships. They are characterized by personal and emotional connections. The family is the best example of a primary group, but close friendships also fall into this, you see, category. All close friends, they are, you see, they form a primary group. Say ladies, you see, kitty party, that is a primary group. In a primary group, the relationships are not just a means to an end, but are, you see, valued for their own sake. Secondary groups, these are larger, more formal groups where relationships are based on specific goals or objectives. Examples include corporations, political, you see, organizations, like in our country, BJP, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, etc. Or educational institutions in secondary, you see, groups. Relationships are more impersonal and people interact based on roles rather than personal connections. Relationships are, you see, serve practical purposes and are often temporary. Now, classification of groups, you see, Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft, in group and out groups, and then reference groups. There are three, you see, types. Now, the German sociologist, he is a German, you see, sociologist. The German sociologist Ferdinand Tönnies introduced two key concepts to describe, you see, different types of social groups. One is Gemeinschaft. This term refers to community-based groups where relationships are, you see, personal, traditional, and close-knit. Such groups are often found in rural or small, you see, communities where people share values and beliefs, and social, you see, life revolves around kinship, religion, and mutual aid. Next is Gesellschaft. This term describes society-based groups where relationships are formal, impersonal, and contractual. These groups are characteristic of modern urban settings where social life is, you see, dominated by business transactions, bureaucracy, and individualism. In-group and out-group classification help to understand social dynamics in terms of belonging and identity. In-group, this is the group to which an individual belongs and with which they identify. It is characterized by a sense of, you see, solidarity and loyalty. For example, family, you see, religion, religious groups, you see, or national identity are often considered in groups. Now, so for example, family is, it is clear. Then you see one particular, you see, master is all his disciples. That is a religious group. Then national identity. Now next is out group. This refers to groups that an individual does not belong to and may be viewed with suspicion, hostility, or indifference. Often members of an outgroup are stereotyped or treated differently. Examples include, rival political, factions or competing companies, they belong to outgroup. Now, reference groups are groups that individuals use as a standard for evaluating their own behavior, attitudes, and achievements. Now, these can be either, positive reference groups, groups that an individual aspires to be a part or emulate. For instance, a student might look up to professional athletes as a positive reference group, negative reference group, groups that an individual strives to distance themselves from. These may include groups that are seen as inferior or undesirable by the individual. Reference groups can also be classified based on their structure. Vertical groups. These groups consist of members from different social classes or walks of life. Individuals in vertical groups may compare themselves with people of higher or lower social standing, leading to either aspiration or differentiation. Horizontal groups, in contrast, horizontal groups consist of individuals from the same social class or demographic. These groups serve as a source of social comparison among equals. So in this particular chapter, we have, studied social groups and, community. Now, we have studied, definition of community. According to Bogardus, community is a, social group with some degree of we feeling and living in a, given area. Kingsley Davis, community, according to Kingsley Davis, community is the smallest territorial group that can embrace all aspects of social, life. Then Ginsberg defines community as a group of social beings living a common life, including all the infinite variety and complexity of relations which result from the common life which constitutes it. Then we studied characteristics of, community. Wherever the members of any group, small or large, live together in such a way that they share not this or that interest, but the basic conditions of a common life, we call that group a community. A community is essentially an area of social living. It is marked by some degree of social coherence. Thus, community is a circle of interwoven relationships within the range of a community. The members within the range of a community, the members may carry on their economic, political, religious, educational, and other activities. Hence, community is a total organization of social life within a defined social space, that is village, tribe, city, district. Groups means a collection of human beings who have social relationships with one another. Social relationship involves some degree of reciprocity as well as awareness of mutuality. On the basis of this criteria, many of those divisions of a population that are sometimes named social groups may not be so. For general understanding, we regard any collections of two or more individuals to be a group whose members identify and interact with each other in a personalized manner. The small size of some groups, say 15 to 20 people enables all the members to know and to interact with the help of shared values and norms. As a result, the members of a group feel strong interpersonal bonds among themselves and with the group as a whole. There are countless kinds of groups in contemporary societies, including you see families, friendship, work crews, teenage gangs, sport teams, juries, rap groups, and communities of all sorts. All of us are members of numerous social groups that influences or shape many of you see our daily activities. The family is an extremely important group in most of our lives. Since bonds of love and affection, commitments, marriage, and kinship link us closely within the family. Even if we do not live with all the members of our family or interact with them on daily basis, we commonly maintain these impersonal ties, you see, through letters, phones, and visits. Categorizing groups as either primary or secondary is a convenient way of, you see, indicating the depth and inclusiveness of their, you see, social relationships. Communities are characterized in different ways, like they are not independent and others are small in numbers, so they are almost isolated. Large modern, you see, communities are not self-contained, but rather interdependent on economic and political relations rather than kinship and family relationships. Community is characterized by definite territory, population, close social relationship, cultural similarity, we feeling, organization is the interaction. Now, great and little communities, many communities are very large and some are very small communities. For living as social beings, we need smaller as well as larger circles of community. The great community brings us opportunity, stability, economy, the constant stimulus of a richer, more varied culture. But living in the smaller community, we find the nearer, more intimate satisfaction. Both are very important for living, you see, in this world, and both are necessary also. Basis of community. The basis of both communities are the locality and community sentiments. Locality is important characteristic of a community because community is a territorial group. A group of people alone can't form a community. A group of people forms a community only when they reside in a definite locality. It need not be fixed forever. A group of people, like you see, nomadic people may change their habitations, but majority community are settled and a strong bond of unity and solidarity is derived from their living in a definite, you see, locality. Next is community sentiment. In today's world, you see, many people live in a same locality but lack the social coherence necessary to give them, as you see, community character. They don't share common interests and lack sufficient contacts with each other. A community is undoubtedly a common living. Community sentiment means a feeling of, you see, being together. Now, elements of community sentiment are we feeling, role feeling. You see, we feeling always means together with others with no division. Role feeling, this feeling involves involving subordination to the whole on the part of the individual and play his or her, you see, own role. Then next is, you see, criteria of community. People live in a big cities, maybe a member of a very small community because their interests are, you see, cut down within a narrow, you see, area. A community then is an area of social living marked by some degree of social coherence. On the contrary, people may live in a village and yet belong to a community as wide as the whole area of civilization or even wider. Community has, you see, a grouping of people within a geographical area with a division of labor into specialized and interdependent functions with a common culture and a social system which organizes their activity, whose members are conscious of their unity and belonging to the community, whose members can act collectively in an organized manner. Community and association. An association is very important division of a social group. When a group of people gets united for a specific purpose or a limited number of persons, purpose is called an association. On the other hand, a community is permanent social group embracing a totality of ends or purposes. In contrast with an association, the life of members of a community is wholly lived in it. Here they find all their social relations, while outside it there is little but they need. It is difficult to decide whether a group is a community or an association. In India, the communities are not communities in the sociological sense, but they rise in the problem of communalism. They are actually ethnical groups within which certain social and religious interests are satisfied. Now, definition of social group. Albion small defines a group as any number of people, larger or smaller, between whom such relations are discovered that they must be, thought of together. Then Bogart thus defines a social group may be thought of as a number of persons, two or more, who have some common objects of attention, who are stimulating by each other, who have common loyalty and participate in similar objectives. Next is Green. Arnold defines a group is an aggregate of individuals which persist in time, which has one or more interests and activities in common, and which is organized. Williams defines a social group is a given aggregate of people playing interrelated roles and recognized by themselves or others as a unit of interaction. Basis of classification of groups. Man's life is a group life to a large extent. If a person lives in a society, he typically is also a member of number of groups which may themselves be considered as existing in a society. A group is a number of people involved in a pattern of association with one another. Typical groups are a clink of friends, a political party, and a sports club. Two or more persons in interaction constitute a social group. It has common aim. In its strict sense, group is a collection of people interacting together in an orderly way on the basis of shared expectations with each other's behavior. As a result of this interaction, the members of groups feel a common sense of belongings. There are large numbers of groups such as primary and secondary, voluntary and involuntary groups, and so on. Sociologists have classified social groups on the basis of size, local distribution, permanence, degree of intimacy, type of organization, and quality of social interaction, etc. Primary groups and secondary groups. C.H. Cooley classified groups on the basis of kind of contract into primary and secondary groups. In primary group, there is a face-to-face, close and intimate relationship among the members, such as in the family. But in a secondary group, the relationship among the members are indirect, impersonal, and superficial, such as the political party, a city, and a trade union, etc. Secondary groups are specific or specialized, interest groups. Difference between primary and secondary groups. First difference is of the size. As size of primary group is small and secondary group is a big group. Small size of the primary group helps its members to develop personal relations among themselves, while members of secondary group have impersonal relations. Members of a primary group are physically close to each other and personally known to each other. There exists a There exists a face-to-face, you see, contract among the members of a primary group, but in a secondary group, the face-to-face contact is not found among the members. Physical distance is characteristic feature of secondary group. Primary group controls the behavior of its members through informal means such as, you see, customs, traditions, folkways, you see, mores, norms, beliefs, suggestions, etc. Secondary groups control the behavior of its members by formal means such as law, police, court, jail, army, etc. The goals or the aim and objectives of the members of a primary group are same, and the persons take others' interest as their own. The main purpose of a primary group is to fulfill all the needs of members, but in secondary groups, the main purpose of primary group is to fulfill the needs of the members, but in secondary groups, the aims or goal are not same. Everyone tries to fulfill his self-interest. Secondary groups satisfy the specific need or interest of the members. Primary group is a characterized by the primary relationship, and this is not a means to an end, but an end in itself. This relationship is spontaneous. On the other hand, the secondary relationship is considered not as an end in itself, but as a means to an end. The structure of primary group is rigid and guided by some rigid informal means of customs, tradition, folkways, mores, and norms. But the structure of secondary group is very flexible and regulated by a set of, you see, formal rules. The membership of a primary group is permanent and compulsory because man lives, grows, and dies within it. But the membership of secondary group is temporary and voluntary. People may join secondary groups according to their will and also withdraw their membership at any time without, you see, any reason. That is why secondary groups are known as special interest groups. In the primary groups, the cooperation among the members is always direct and intimate. So the primary relations are inclusive, but in secondary groups, there is only indirect type or cooperation among the members because the functions are based on division of labor and specialization of work. In primary groups, the position or status of a person is fixed according to his birth, age, and sex. For example, in a family, the position of the family is based upon birth, age, but in a secondary group, the position of a person is determined by his roles. For example, in a trade union, the position of the president depends upon the roles he plays, you see, in the union. Then there is general secretary, there is treasurer, there are members. Primary and secondary, you see, relations in modern world, in the villages and small town communities, people are, you see, very much attached in the primary bonds, and on the other hand, the other members of the group are, you see, named as persons and not merely its representatives of positions in the formal, you see, order. Then there are task groups. Task groups are, you see, groups of individuals, you see, brought together to accomplish a specific action or produce a product. Then we have, you see, studied, you see, a reference group. Then we have studied, you see, vertical and, you see, horizontal group. Then we have studied institutional and non-institutional, you see, groups. Then contractual and non-contractual, you see, group we have studied. Then we have studied voluntary and involuntary, you see, groups. Then we have studied informal and formal, you see, groups. Now, social group and, you see, community, you see, differences. In social group is an artificial, you see, creation. In community is a natural group. In social group is formed to realize some. In community includes the whole circle of social life. In social group, membership of group is voluntary. In community, membership of community is compulsory. In social group is comparatively temporary. in community, community is comparatively permanent. Then in social group, group is a part of, you see, community. In community, you see, community is as a whole. So students, we are closing the session. Thank you very much, students.